My name is John Paul Vachon, the founder and CEO of Versa Ministries. It's so good to be with you. I'm live here in South Bend, Indiana, a beautiful, beautiful day here. The sun is shining, and we're just really grateful to be with you. We're grateful to have my good friend Shafik with us. Shafik is calling in from Jerusalem. He's been a guide for 13 years. And yeah, why don't you introduce yourself, Shafik?
Well, my name is Shafik. I was born and raised in the old city of Jerusalem in the Christian quarter. It's actually one of the four quarters of the old city of Jerusalem. And it's where I was born and raised is actually 2 minutes walk away from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is for us, of course, call it the Church of Resurrection, Kanisat al-Qiyamah. And my family originally came from Nazareth, actually, where the Word was made flesh. And we are Christians and witnesses for several generations as a family.
Great. Well, none of us are jealous that you got to grow up next to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Honestly, we took it for granted because we see it every day in the morning, hear the bells, smell the incense. That was like kind of a wake up call for us. But once you grew up and start understanding where you live, that's where you simply fall in love with it.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Great. Well, again, thank you for being with us, Shafik. So this is our first the first Meet the Guide event. And so over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to be meeting all the guides that helped us out with our Holy Week virtual pilgrimage. So I know many of our pilgrims are joining us that were able to join for Holy Week. So we're really grateful to have our pilgrims with us. This is a chance for you to get to know the guides a little bit. It's a chance for you to ask questions. If you want to learn more about something that happened during Holy Week or another site in the Holy Land that you want to learn about. So please feel free to put a question. If you're on Zoom with us, you can put a question in the Q&A or in the comment section. If you are joining us on Facebook, you can leave a comment there. We're monitoring those comments and questions as well. So either route, feel free to participate and send us a note, send us where you're from. You can comment on how the Holy Week pilgrimage was for you, all of that. We're just grateful that everybody's here. So I've got a bunch of questions for you, Shafik. So we'll start there and then we'll move in. If there are questions along the way, I'll pop those in from the audience. Yeah, let's just get started. So where I wanted to start. So, you grew up next to the Holy Sepulchre. So I guess my question is, you were just talking about how this was, you kind of took it for granted. So how did that maybe change when you became a tour guide? How did that change the way you viewed these places that were so familiar to you, right? So you probably are very familiar with Nazareth, your family's from there, you were in Jerusalem. So how did that maybe change when you were able to see these same sites from a pilgrim's pair of eyes?
Look, but as kids, I mean, to be honest with you, that's a place where I went with my bicycle, with my skateboard every day, played. And we used to see the groups, we used to see people, we used to learn languages from them because there was so many people around, they have different cultures. And, that's really funny. People ask us, Shafiq, you speak a lot of languages. I mean, you speak with this, with that. How come you know all these languages? Well, we grew up in a place where cultures and language and civilization flourished. So we used to follow the groups to say hello, to learn languages from them. And it was really interesting because they would love it. Sometimes they would give us a chocolate or like a candy or an energy bar or something. And sometimes they would even give us $1 to buy chocolate. So it was fun. Like we used to go back home, our families, and tell them that was a fun because growing up near the Church of Holy Sepulchre, my grandfathers and mothers, they used to explain for us every day what are those bells and why we celebrate there and what is the church. So we grew up knowing it. Now, when I became a tour guide, to be honest with you, that's when I became more close to the Bible. I mean, I read the Bible, I grew up knowing the Bible and everything, but still, when you grew up and you start working in it and every day, every time I came to the church, the Holy Sepulchre, just growing there in this area, it felt overwhelming even more. Like the Bible started making sense. stories that I've heard when I was a little boy, they start making sense. They start having a flavor in them, you know. And until today, when I even come with my groups to go to the church to even celebrate Mass or to go and visit the church, until today, I pick up my phone and take pictures to the church. I mean, I've been there like countless times, but still, this place is just my heart keeps pumping and moving fast every time I come close to the church. So it's a great
Yeah,
experience, and
that's
it's a
beautiful.
privilege to grow next to the church.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, anybody who's been to the Holy Land, you realize like this is not a place you just go once. You have to go back, and every time you go back, you can learn something new when you visit. So,
yeah.
well, tell me, why did you become a tour guide? Why was this even an interest of you to become a tour guide?
Uh, okay, to be honest, I don't know how I became a tour guide. That wasn't the
What?
plan. But I mean, honestly, I never thought in my life, like when I went to my mother and I told her I'm gonna be a tour guide, she started laughing because she always knew that I hate to teach people. Like I don't have the patience to sit and talk, and it's like if I would talk to someone and he would not listen, I would leave. So and she goes like, "Good luck." And but I don't know. Until today, I don't know how I became a tour guide. But one time, my father told me that Shafiq, he told me something that really hits me. He said, "You were called to do that. Let's take it this way. I mean, someone saw something in you that is, and I loved it. And I think yes, it's more like a calling. You know, being a tour guide is not uh, work. It's not a job because uh, you teach something for you touch people's heart and feelings. You see them crying, you see them laughing, you see them moving and emotion. So that's not a normal job. I'm not a tour guide in some archaeological site or an island around the world. I'm a tour guide in something that people believe in their heart, and that's why being a tour guide is is actually something that I give from the heart, and so when I became a tour guide and start working it every day, I got more and more privileged because probably I say the word Jesus million times a day, and that's more than I deserve, believe me. So I'm really glad that I became a tour guide.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful reflection because I think that resonates so well with why we do what we do. So here at Versa Ministries, we're all about helping pilgrims get to the holy places. And the way I describe it is that, we can help get people from point A to point B. We are a travel company, so we'll help you get your flights and your hotels and everything. But it's not only a physical journey. The whole point of a pilgrimage is that it's a spiritual journey too. So what I like to say is that we take our pilgrims from point A to point B, both physically, but also spiritually, right? That you're not just leading them, okay, here's where you're going to see now, here's the dinner you're going to eat now, but you also help them, okay, like what's happening in your heart? How are these places speaking to you? How is God coming alive in these places? So the way
Yeah.
you describe it is exactly perfect. So, okay. Well, we're glad that
True.
somebody called you out to
True.
do this kind of work. So.
I'm truly blessed and honored, honestly. Like you know the Bible more. You want and it's every day you give more. And the funny thing, like a couple of times it's happened to me. I would be guiding, for example, in a certain place, and during my guiding, I explain, and then after I send my group for like 10 minutes, take pictures to a side, I'll be going back and writing notes of things that I was talking about. We're like, wait a minute, where did that came from? I swear. It's like things are just coming and building up with you, and you feel like you want to share them with them. And even someone is using you, probably giving you something that this group needs to hear. And that's why I'm really blessed that I'm a tour guide and I'm doing what I'm doing today.
That's great. That's great. So do you have a favorite place that you like to guide pilgrims at?
Listen, the Holy Land is my favorite. It's incredible place. I mean, every place have its special place, but for me, especially, I love the Sea of Galilee. I love the Galilee, the north. Um, First of all, there's a lot of nature. There's the lake of the Sea of Galilee. It's the place where the Lord's ministry took place. It's the place where he returned after his resurrection, appeared for his disciples. And it's very authentic. It's beautiful. I mean, sometimes there, if you don't visit church, you just sit outside by the lake and hear the voice of the birds and the breeze, the smell. There are some noises over there and sounds that they still exist from 2,000 years ago. Animals around you, things. It's really authentic. I love the Sea of Galilee. Different for me. So I love Jerusalem. I love the desert, but it's
Well,
the Sea of Galilee, the land.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I love the Sea of Galilee because I mean, so often pilgrims can sometimes they can get caught up, not all of them, but some people can sometimes get caught up with the idea of asking, like, okay, well, so this church is built on the site of like, is this church built exactly where Jesus was when this event happened? And sometimes it's yes, or sometimes it's
Uh-huh.
close by, but to me, the Sea of Galilee is like, okay, you can't argue. The Sea of Galilee didn't move from when Jesus was there. That we know. This is where this is the Sea of Galilee. There's no doubting that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a
No
beautiful
doubt.
place.
No doubt.
It's also to me Galilee. So it's the Sea of Galilee is in the Galilee region, which if you haven't been there before, that's in the northern section of Israel. And to me,
Exactly.
the Sea of Galilee in many ways reminds me of it's probably as close as what the landscape looked like in Jesus' time. And maybe you could correct me, Shafik, but I feel like when I go to Galilee, I can more authentically envision, okay, this is maybe closer to what it looked like during Jesus's time than when I'm in the big city of Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, of course, that didn't even exist. So do you feel that way when you're in Galilee, that you can kind
Of
of
course,
almost
John.
better envision Jesus in those places?
Look, it's a first of all, Jerusalem is like how we call it, it's like a Lego, you know, like there are so many layers of different civilizations, different periods of time that they have been destroyed and rebuilt one on top of the other.
Yeah.
We talk about Roman, Byzantine, Crusader, even David, So what happened is that there are layers of civilization buried on top of each others, and they are just a pile of ruins in some of the places. So it's harder work for a group, for an individual pilgrim to
Mhm.
go there, and me trying to convince him like that is the place. That's how the temple looks like 2,000 years ago. Now he have to go and build like a 3D kind of picture in his mind to
Right.
start following me there. While standing on the Sea of Galilee is a bit different. Like let's take for instance going to a village called the village of Capernaum, like when we deal with Jesus' ministry. Capernaum there's no doubt that's not the village of Capernaum. The location, the proximity, the archaeology, the Bible, everything around it there. You
Yeah.
can't miss it. So when you
Yeah.
stand there with your group and tell them that's the village from 2000, that's where Jesus did this, for them, it's a more picturesque kind of way. Like they can see it, they can smell it, they can feel it. I mean, that's the same body of water that Jesus walked on and calmed the storm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you said, it wasn't moved and rebuilt and destroyed.
Right. Right.
So that's true.
That's great. Well, I'm sure you have many stories of pilgrims. What I'm really curious about is like, do you have a fun memory or something crazy that happened on a pilgrimage, or some kind of fun anecdote you could share about a pilgrimage group that you could share with us?
Oh, I can write a book, but you know, it's because there's a lot of fun. I mean, fun in a crazy, fun in a nice way, fun in a laugh.
Yeah.
There's a pilgrimage is falling in love with everyone, and there's a lot of interesting stories. I mean, I don't know if I can remember one of them. We were one time at the exit, like part of the path of the Gospel Trail, which is called the Valley of the Wind, and that's where Jesus came from Nazareth towards the Sea of Galilee. And it's like a nature place, and there's always all kind of animals around trying to get fed on the green grass. And then one lady came to me, and she was like, Shafik, I can see a black bear. I'm like, black bear? We don't have loose bears like this around the country. It's like it's in the zoo and it's really dangerous. Where is it? It's up there. And honestly, there was something black moving. So the whole group started taking pictures. And when we zoom, it was like kind of a darker blackish cow. around, and we have all kind of, you know, I cannot say funny questions, because when I became a tour guide, my professor used to tell me that, Shafiq, there is no such a thing called stupid question or funny question. There's something called stupid or funny answer. Always know that. So we have all kind of fun questions. For example, how tall Jesus was. All right. Last Supper was wine white or red? Um, you know, now I cannot laugh, at this point, or why there's no church built on the Sea of Galilee. I mean, so you can't say, well, so you have to explain. Okay, you want to know how tall Jesus was? Look around you. I mean, look at us, the local. Me, he wasn't a basketball player. He wasn't a very white, blue eyes, white skin. He was a Mediterranean kind of look. Probably our height, darker skin a bit, long hair, beard. So we try to explain. So there's
Plenty of stories. Oh, I'm sure. So,
plenty
well,
of funny stories.
yeah, great. Well, one of the things I know you love to do, and you mentioned it earlier, is you love to take photographs. So we wanted to share a few of your photographs with those that are watching, just because one, I just love, and you do most of them on your phone. And I just
Yeah.
find it amazing that you can get such beautiful photos on your phone. But yeah, well, before I share the photos, I mean, tell me about, like, how did you get into that? I mean, why do you take, I mean, I feel like you see these sites, when we're traveling, we
Well,
see them every week. Like, why take pictures of something
every
you've
week.
seen already?
Um, I think, well, taking pictures, not picking up your phone or your camera and taking pictures. First of all, I always encourage my groups that don't spend too much time taking thousands of pictures on your phones and cameras, because you're going to
Yeah.
go home anyways, and you got to be flipping those pages saying, wait a minute, where was that picture taken? So I always encourage them to take a mental photo. That's like a photo that will last forever, in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's what actually happens to me. The mental photo that I have in my mind for a specific corner or specific place makes me pick up my phone and take a picture of it. I mean, uh, if I was never into taking pictures, but when I start visiting those places in different periods of time, I'll be sitting, looking at something, be like, oh my God, that looks beautiful. I would pick it up and take a picture of it. So I love taking pictures, and I think it's like a hobby. It's growing now, and I really enjoy it. So
Great. Well,
there's
let's
plenty. I mean,
let's share a few. So let me
of
share my
course.
screen here, and you could explain, basically, yeah, explain where
Okay.
these are taken. Yeah, that would be great. Give us a little
All
mini
right.
tour of the Holy Land.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, this is the church of, we call it Peter's Primacy, or the Mensa Christi. It's right on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. And that's where the Gospel of John, chapter 21, takes place. Jesus here appeared for the third time after his resurrection. That's the place where he asked Peter, do you love me, three times? And
Perfect.
then yeah, that's where he had breakfast with them. So it's called Mensa Christi, and beautiful church.
Yeah, beautiful. And we love to give our time for our groups here, because as you can see from this photo, you can walk down, you can dip your toes into the water here. It's a beautiful spot.
I have to tell you something, John.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, knowing an update of the Sea of Galilee, the whole area that you see next to the building is already covered with water.
Oh,
The
wow.
level of the Sea of Galilee is rising and incredible. Today, you only can go down just a little bit where the entrance to the church, where you stop from the fence, and that's where you put your feet to pedal in the water. Can you
Oh,
believe it?
oh, wow. Wow, no, because it's been going down for years. So that's good to know.
For years. And the only fishy part of it is that people cannot actually see the seven shaped hard stones that they are over there once people
Yeah,
go there. If you
yeah,
remember, those who
yeah.
have been there, they could see it.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
a heart shape for the love that Jesus asked Peter, if you love me, return.
Yeah, great. Well, that's
Yeah.
a fitting space for the Easter season, because it's a spot that's yeah, important for when Jesus was after he rose. So okay, next one.
Next one. Ah, this never gets old. I have million pictures of this This is a sunrise, an early morning sunrise on the Sea of Galilee. Like when your itinerary is the, of course, you will go into the Sea of Galilee. I would encourage everyone who have been there, who also is going to plan to go and visit. When you are on the Sea of Galilee, friends, listen to your tour guide. Wake up in the morning and watch the sunrise on the Sea of Galilee. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Well, you see it here in this photo. So great. All right, next one.
Okay. Okay. Easter cookies. In our culture, we have special cookies that we make. I can later on share the ingredients, but this is something called kake. Kake is actually the Arabic pronunciation of a kind of a bagel. It's a round-shaped cookie. The round-shaped cookie is this semolina dough that's actually stuffed with the date paste of dates, sugar, brown sugar, and cinnamon. And then you kind of like pinch it from all over and you bake it so that when it's baked, it looks like the corn that they placed on our Lord during the crucifixion. The other one right next to it is the same kind of dough, semolina dough, but it's stuffed with crushed peanuts mixed with cinnamon, sugar, and then you make it like a kind of like a bag thing shape, and then it symbolizes the sponge when Jesus said, "I thirst." Now, in some of the villages, they have a different explanation to that, but the most common where it came from is we use like the sponge and the crown of thorns. Of course, along with that is the painted eggs for the resurrection of our Lord.
Sure, sure. Okay, so another fitting Easter tradition. So as you
Okay.
said, the crown of thorns here and the sponge, the cookies represent those from the Easter season. So I got another picture of food here because one of my favorite things when you go to the Holy Land is all the delicious food you eat. So yeah, tell them about these delicacies.
Okay. Now, one of them, the one to the left, is actually something very famous that they are going to be eating. Well, first of all, I have to advise everyone, guys, if you are planning to come to the Holy Land, one of the tips and advices you need to do is that you have to be on a diet for kind of like a few weeks before coming to the Holy Land. Because if you really, because what happens is that you will end up eating a lot. Now, don't worry, we will make sure as tour guides to burn it for you, but they have delicious food. So the one to the left is a very famous dish. It's hummus. The plate inside it is hummus and falafel with the bagel bread and some olive oil and pickles. Of course, the famous hummus is made from chickpeas mixed with tahina, sesame sauce and syrup and olive oil and lemon and onion and garlic and you know it's very famous. The other one next to it, it's something called kind of a bit similar to the baklava. Many of you heard about that before. What's
Mhm,
the baklava?
mhm.
But baklavas here is a bit different. You get stuffed with pistachios, cashews, and all kinds of stuff. And you will find it in many places where we take you to have lunch. You will see that they're offering this for you with a cup of Turkish coffee as a dessert. So that's why
Beautiful.
be
Great.
on diet for a few weeks before you come to the Holy Land.
That's right. Be on a diet before you go. Yeah, that is a common thread from our pilgrims. We eat a lot. So okay, last photo here.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Uh-huh. Well, this is one of the ladies. She was on a pilgrimage, and this is actually the shepherd's field. That's the place where the angels appear for the shepherds, and from there, of course, is the birthplace of our Lord, the manger square. There's sometimes you get all kind of Bedouins coming around you, like some of the boys, and want to come close, they want to be friends with you. One of them is a little boy. He's always at the shepherd's field with his sheep, as you can see. And pilgrims get the chance to hold it and hug it. So as you can see, the lady is falling in love with of course, the sheep, and you get to feel it since you are in the shepherd's field. So that's where you get to hold one. You will
That's
have the
great.
opportunity to do that. Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, a slice of wildlife in the middle of
it's
everything.
beautiful. She was yeah. That's the fun part. Of course, when you give it back to the boy, is the fun part. If it's a little one, then you will end up with like a big watery circle. So just
That's fun.
with a
Well, I know
little
my
gift
when
from it.
we took when I actually the first visit I took to the Holy Land, we took it was my whole family, my parents, my sisters, my daughter was with us. She was 4 at the time, and of course, there's a couple stops where you see camels. So people, same idea. They'll have the camel there. You
Uh-huh.
can ride the camel.
Camel.
So of course,
You
my
can't miss.
daughter was all about the camel.
Yeah, you can't miss it. You have to take a camel. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it
It's a
is fun.
must on the tour.
Yeah, it's all part of the experience. So and that's why I wanted to show some of the photos that you took as well, because it's not just when you go on a pilgrimage, it's not just the holy sites. I mean, it's about the food you eat. It's about the people that you meet. It's the fun things that you do. The last time I was there, we had a karaoke night at one of the guides' restaurants.
Oh yeah.
Just there's a lot of fun things that happen on a pilgrimage. It's not only praying, although of course that's the whole point we're there, but the whole experience is part of it. So
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's a lot of people that they are coming to explore the Bible, to love, to fall in love, to come on a pilgrimage, but also they are excited to know the culture, the food, the
yeah.
language, ingredients of the food, of course.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Well, we've got some time left, so I wanted to do a fun little game with you before we talk a little bit more
Okay.
specifically about like if people want to go to the Holy Land. So we're gonna play a
Okay.
game or play a game called Stump the Guide. So on social media, I went on last night and I asked for some questions. I said, okay, we're gonna play Stump the Guide. I have a professional tour guide in the Holy Land. We're going to test how much knowledge does Shafik still have. He hasn't been working for a whole year because of COVID,
It's
but
been a year now.
so we're going to
It's
play
all
Stump.
hibernating now.
Yeah, we're going to play Stump the Guide. So I'm going to put a timer on. There's going to be 2 minutes, and I'm going to see how many questions you can get right in 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any questions before we start?
Me? No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. The questions will come up on the screen, but I'll read them as well as we go. If you don't know the answer, you can play pass. But yeah, so these
Okay.
are some of the questions that people submitted to see if you knew the answers. Okay. So I'll share my screen again. I'm going to start the timer. We're going to see how many you can get right. All right. All right. So first question: how many meters below sea level is the Dead Sea located?
400.
Okay, I'll take it. So according to Wikipedia, 430.5 meters below sea level, although it's changing from time to time. Okay, next question. Here we go. What is the meaning of Bethlehem?
Bethlehem, the house of bread. Bethlehem.
Okay, the house of bread, correct. Okay, so as we talked about, this is the Sea of Galilee. My question is, from which site on the Sea of Galilee is this picture taken from? So I'm
This is
standing at a
taken
holy
from.
site.
Okay. This is taken from, let's say, Mensa Christi. Peter's pharmacy.
Close. It's close. This is a hard one. It's Capernaum. All right. So
Capernaum.
right down the shore.
It's
So that
like
was
the
you had
northern
like
shore.
you had a 50-50 chance. All right, here we go. Next one. Where are the Beatitudes found in the Bible? Name the book and the chapter.
Matthew chapter 5.
All right, great. In
5, 6,
2015,
and 7, of course. Yeah.
in 2015, Pope Francis canonized 2 modern-day Palestinian saints. Do you know their names?
Yes, Sister Bawaldi,
Yep.
and uh,
And she's the famous one. The other one is for some reason not as famous, but she's also there.
of course, Bawaldi and she's from the Rosary Sisters.
Well, you got a few
I'm sorry,
seconds
I
left.
got the name. Beth.
All right, there we go. 2 minutes is up. So you got one. The other one was Sister Marie Alphonsine Gatas. Gratas.
Yes, Gatas.
Okay.
Ah.
Well, that was fun. That was fun. So
That's
You
it.
got you got him. Yeah, that was 2 minutes. That was two
Okay.
minutes. So
Ah,
we didn't really stump you on anyone. Let me see if there's any other question I wanted to ask you before we stop, because we didn't get through all of them. So
okay.
oh, here's a fun one. Where's the best place to eat falafel in Jerusalem?
Wow, the best place to eat falafel in Jerusalem. It's where I grew up in the um, like very close in the perimeter, like 2 meters away from the Church of Holy Sepulchre where I live. There's a very famous guy who makes the best falafel.
Okay,
Abu Shukri, they call him, uh, father of Shukri. Yeah, he's
perfect.
famous.
Great. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Well, thanks for entertaining that segment. That was a lot of fun. You still got it. You still got it. You can still lead groups when we come back. So.
Okay. It was it was the sister. Yeah, she was Marie Grata. She's the establisher of the Rosary Sisters order
Okay, great.
in
Well, and
Jerusalem.
we did have a somebody submit the question. So their question was, she knew about the first one that you mentioned, who's the Carmelite sister, who's from Bethlehem.
Yeah, Bawardi.
So
That's true.
yeah. So her question was, I mean, do people in Bethlehem know her and kind of have a devotion to her? Or I guess the question it was more so, how has her life kind of influenced the Christians and the Catholics in Bethlehem or in the area? What was her?
I
I don't know
know.
if you know her story or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, there's people can actually go and visit some of her relics, say
Uh-huh.
her bed, her pillow,
Yeah.
her books, the all kind of stuff where she used to live. And I've talked with the people, the locals of Bethlehem, that they said that they have witnessed miracles done by her.
Yeah.
It was actually it was really funny. It was actually one of the drivers who worked with me on the tour.
Okay.
He said that Shafiq, something happened with my wife, and we had to. And that night, she had a dream about her, and they went to her monastery. They asked the nuns, and then the next day they realized that nothing's wrong with her baby, and he's fine, and she's going to have a normal pregnancy.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, people can actually go there and see relics and visit. It's beautiful place. I mean, you get to
Yeah.
see a lot of stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
She was a
they pray to her. Yeah,
Yeah, great. Yeah, she's a Carmelite. So there's a Carmelite monastery. There's a few of them in the Holy
a
Land, but there's
Carmelite.
one, yeah, one in Bethlehem for sure. So, okay, great.
One
Well,
in Bethlehem, one yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
one in Bethlehem, one in Mount of Olives, Mount Carmel, plenty. And there's especially the order. Like I don't know if you had the chance, but when you go to Bethlehem, there's one of the churches around the area. It's called the Milk Grotto, and it's
Mhm.
also run by the order of the Carmelite order, but they are the nuns that they live in isolation, like they're not seen by
Yeah,
anyone,
yeah,
but they pray for you all the time.
yeah,
Even a special beautiful corner over there, and there's like a corner of the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament,
right.
24/7 the whole time. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, perfect. Well, let's transition. We've got a few minutes left. So let's transition to speaking more about like, okay, like, great. This is so fun to learn about. Would love to go to the Holy Land. So my question is, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about coming to the Holy Land?
Come prepared. Read the Bible. Um, I'm always get this thing by people when they finish the tour, they get together and they will be like, you know what, Shafiq, I want to go back home and read the Bible. I mean, you because I would like to encourage you all to read the Bible before you come to the Holy Land. Because when you come to the Holy Land, you're coming to visit, you're going to be talking about the Gospels, the four Gospels, but you have no idea that you're about to visit the fifth Gospel. See, that's what we call the land.
Mhm.
The fifth Gospel is the Gospel that you are going to smell, you are going to taste, you're going to walk, you're going to feel. And that Gospel, you will only find it here in the Holy Land. This gospel is going to bring the four gospels to life. So that's why I encourage you to not only read the Bible like the New Testament, read the Old Testament as well. because as much as there's information about our Lord in the New Testament, there's exact amount, even more, about the Lord Jesus is talked about in the Old Testament. So be prepared, because when you read the Bible, you come here, it would be an incredible feeling. You start noticing, and then when you go back home after the tour, reading the Bible is not going to be the same anymore. It's going to be a new experience.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice, and something that we definitely try to help with. Like when we send our pilgrims there, we try to send them preparation materials and encourage them to think about questions. So don't just prepare physically, doing packing lists and getting your passport. Of course, all that has to get ready, but also prepare your heart and your mind for the experience. Because as you mentioned, it's like the more you can prepare before you go, the more you can really appreciate and dive into the sites when you're there. So
yeah, when you start visiting those places,
go ahead.
I'm saying is that like they come to the Holy Land, they bring the Holy Land with them. And what happens is that when they start visiting those places and hearing about it, it will be a reflection of already what they brought with them. So it will help them. I mean, when they go back home, it will be like when they read the scripture, if they are reading from the Bible or something, they will finish the reading of the scripture and they'll be like, ah, oh my God, let me tell you that I was there and I touched it. You know,
Yeah,
it's completely different.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So one question we often get is
I
it
encourage them all.
great? One question we often get is it safe to travel to the Holy Land?
Of course it is. Let me tell you something. When people come here, I was shocked when they used to come here and tell me, Shafiq, I mean, I was here for a week, everything's okay. I'm like, what do you mean everything's okay? It is, you're coming to visit and walk the footsteps of our Lord. So what bad could happen? If he decides for you this trip, then you are going to go that trip. It's like when Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross the lake to the other side." He didn't say, "Let's try our chances of crossing the lake to the other side." He just made it clear, "Let's cross to the other side." So that's when they start having a doubt, and that's where the storm happens. Like, with the storm, this happened? Is that how you think? I told you, let's cross the lake to the other side. So if you are planned, and he planned for you a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, then you don't have to ask yourself if it's safe or not, because you come with the Lord with you. What bad can happen?
That's a good reminder. So, well, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about like the COVID situation now. So, how are things right now with COVID and the pandemic and all that?
Honestly, we're truly blessed because the news are promising almost more than half of the population of the state of Israel is all with vaccinated, and we just heard today, even from the news, is that the borders are going to be open by something like mid of May. And groups will be welcomed if they are vaccinated, of course, and they're going to go through a test. And that that's promising, to be honest with you. It means that we are coming out of it slowly, and
Yeah,
it's improving. I mean, seeing the crowds around us. Don't forget that a few weeks ago, Israel celebrated the Passover feast. We celebrated Easter, and now is Ramadan for the Muslims. So these are three feasts are considered of feasts of a lot of crowds and packed
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And if there's no rise in the amount of people infected in the COVID and the coronavirus, it means that it's great. So we are truly blessed, and we will keep praying that this will continue.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Of
I've
course,
been
it does.
telling. Yeah, I've been telling a lot of our pilgrims. I said if there's any country that's going to open first, it will be Israel because the vaccinations have been going along so quickly. So we'll keep everybody abreast of news as it comes out, and we're anxious
Yeah,
to get there as quickly as we can as well. So great. Well, I just wanted to give one more shout out. If there's any other
we will
questions
keep
or
praying.
yeah, thank you. If there's any other questions or comments from people that are watching, please, this is kind of your last chance. I did want to share, obviously here at Versa Ministries, we're really excited to resume travel when it's safe to do so. And so I just wanted to share, if you are interested in joining us in the Holy Land, you can come with us. We've got several upcoming departures. If you head to our website, which is versoministries.com, VERSO ministries.com, you can come here and you can click on Holy Lands. And then when you click on Holy Land, you'll get sent to a page all about like what's included in our standard pilgrimage. So as you scroll down, you'll learn about, okay, where are the places we're going, what's included. More or less everything is included in a pilgrimage when you come with us. So the guide, so somebody like Shafik will be with you the whole way. You'll have a Catholic chaplain with daily mass. You have a private bus. You've got the materials ahead of time, which we talked about, all the meals, everything's included. And as you scroll down, you'll learn about the itinerary. So we visit a lot of the places we talked about during this session. We go to Nazareth, we go to the Sea of Galilee, then we head to the Jordan River, the Dead Sea, Bethlehem. I mean, even a lot of places we didn't talk about on our session today. There's just so much packed in. So I just encourage you, if you're on this call, if you did the Holy Week virtual pilgrimage with us, invite you to check out our website. We've got a lot of departures coming up. Our next scheduled one is in October. So we, obviously with COVID and everything, we've been delaying our departures so we can for sure know, like, okay, by October, we really feel like we're comfortable to travel. There's a chance we would add some potentially earlier than that, even if Israel doesn't open and if we have interest. But we really feel like the fall is really safe. So beginning in October, we'll be sending pilgrims back there. We'd love to have you. You can check out our website to learn more information. If you're interested in talking more, you can call me, email me, whatever you need to learn more about a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. We really invite you to come back, to go for the first time or come back if you've been there already. So also, if you liked what you heard from Shafik, as you can tell, Shafik has a lot of great stories to share. He's got great photographs. So if you want to follow him either on Facebook or on Instagram, you can find him at these links. Like I said, I love his photographs. I love seeing the updates there. He's been doing a lot during the pandemic to I know during Holy Week, you had shared some live videos of what's happening in the holy sites during Holy Week even. So you can find Shafik here. Great. And then the last thing is, we would invite you, if you enjoyed this, we are going to have another Meet the Guide session next week. On Wednesday at noon. Mary will be with us. So Mary was another one of our guides from the Holy Week virtual pilgrimage. We'll be sending information out about that via email, on our Facebook, Instagram. You can find the details on how to join for that. So welcome, everybody back to again meet another one of our guides next week on Wednesday. So if anybody else has any questions, this is your time. Shafik, do you have any last final thoughts? Any parting words of wisdom for us?
Honestly, we would like to encourage all of them to, when everything will be ready, we would like them all to come here, because once they come here, they will go back home, new witnesses and new disciples. That the tomb is empty. Of course, I would like to wish every one of them happy Easter. Of course, we just celebrate Easter, and we say in our country we don't say happy Easter. We say Shih Hukam and Kabro, which means Jesus is risen from the tomb. So we would like to wish them all to have to stay safe, and hopefully we will all see them coming here to the Holy Land. We want you to come to show the world that this place is beautiful and it's safe, and it's incredible with its people, with its culture, and people always love you to come here. So
yes, well, we're excited to come visit again. Yeah. So thank you very much, and
with pleasure.
Perfect. And one last reminder, and I forgot to share the slide. I talked about it, but again, next week at noon Eastern time. So if you're on the East Coast, it's at noon Eastern, but April 21st, Mary will be with us. She's also a guide in the Holy Land. She did our Tuesday of Holy Week, if you're watching those. So we'll be doing a similar thing there. We'll see. We're going to be doing the Stump the Guide with her, Shafik. So maybe we'll calculate over the course of the series who gets the most questions right. And then pilgrims will know, okay, who's the most knowledgeable guide that I want to travel with, right? So So, well, thank you,
With
Shafiq. I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And thanks for all of our pilgrims who joined. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day, and great to see you, Shafiq. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God
Bye
bless.
bye.
Bye-bye.